Hey, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good day, whatever it is for you. We want to thank you for tuning in tonight, Thursday, watching another episode of the Roundtable, coming to you live from the WWDBTV studios in the heart of Las Vegas. Hot, warmed up Las Vegas, 80s, 90s this past week. We are finally in the stretch of what we're used to here in Las Vegas. Joining us, as always, the trio is back in full force, better than ever. My far right, in Brown. I've never seen Brown look so good as it is on this man. The mouth, George Miklos. How are you, sir?
Just fine. Thank you, guys. How is everything?
Doing good. Doing good.
Did you guys have a nice holiday this past few days? Yours last like
3
weeks.
Tonight, no, 3 weeks, God forbid, 8 days. Tonight is my last day dealing with matzah, which tells two things. Number one, it's a great way to start a diet because you don't eat bread. It's just a yeast way. But boy, you got to figure out a way to get those pipes working in your system again, because that matzah after a while is like cement in your system. And a great Rick Upchurch right here, who can outrun Mother Nature backwards, is with us too. How was did you have a good weekend?
Well, I had a great weekend, no doubt about it. And, just nice and quiet. It wasn't a lot of things going on.
Right.
My coach came back into town visiting his family, so I had a chance to visit with him. Been a long time, but had a great time sitting down, enjoying life, man. Life is wonderful. And once again, my celebration is celebrating the rising of Jesus Christ. Bottom line, he came out of the tomb, man, to give us redemption, and so that's really where my focus is. It really is.
Right on, right on. My tradition for Easter is I celebrate Passover, as I just mentioned. Tonight, usually to end Passover, my wife and I order Chinese food because that helps get the system going again, if you know what I'm talking about. Because 8 days of matzah, man, is like cement, like I said before. Growing up as a kid, neighbors, from the youngest time I can remember, they always bought me a milk chocolate hollow bunny. Right, and to this day, I still carry out the tradition. I have it sitting up in my cabinet. Probably why it's lasted these many days, even after Easter, I have no idea. But I have it ready to go, and that's just something that I've done. When you said the rise of Jesus, and again, this is where my stupid brain goes. So Passover and Easter usually run over because of how the calendar. Now, I got to let everybody know the Jewish calendar is not like the traditional general calendar that we use. That's why people always think is Hanukkah always this. No, it's just the way things fall out. That's right. You're talking about the rise of Jesus, and all I thought about was, well, I'm thinking about bread that didn't rise and matzah at the same time. You're thinking about rise of Jesus. That's why matzah is what it is. It didn't rise. Right. We were chased out of the desert by Pharaoh to get out of his clutches. And as we were running 8 days through the desert, that's why matzah is thin. It didn't rise. And that's why what struck me when you use the word rise, I'm thinking, matzah didn't rise, but Jesus rose. What happened here? Why couldn't matzah rise with him? Right. But it was just kind of interesting how you got the opposites there on the weekend.
I like when you like at Christmas.
It's a stupid comparison, but I'm sorry, that's what my brain is.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas. Jewish. We used to keep our tree up until like the first or second week of January.
Yeah.
Because my mom, of course, but even though we didn't practice it, we grew up in the Catholic household. Sure. But at Christmas time, the tree would stay up. So we kind of keep for whatever reason, maybe not for that reason, but our tree stays up.
Listen, a tradition's a tradition. I mean,
and Easter, not so much tradition. We would go to church. And
so what is, someone who doesn't celebrate Easter, what's a normal menu for? I feel like we've had this conversation before, and I don't know why.
I don't know if Easter has a really set menu, any particulars.
But generally, it's ham, is it not? As a main
it's
course.
Ham, but you know what? We had prime rib.
Yeah,
we had a nice prime rib, man, cooked up, smoked up in that old deal.
My phone didn't ring to come join you for prime rib, dude.
I thought you were already getting yours in. You're always ahead of us. No doubt about it. You're always a step ahead, big dog.
I'm stuck on cement.
Yeah, you're eating cement. I don't want to add to that. But yeah, the prime rib is what we had with horseradish, and we had a green bean casserole. We had asparagus and those type of things.
I got to ask you about the horseradish. Store-bought horseradish?
Yeah, store-bought.
Okay. Next week, if my dad's been making homemade horseradish for 50 years. No, not horseradish and mayo. the horseradish stalk with vinegar, the kind that makes your eyes burn, that takes paint off your house.
I'll be right over.
Okay, so I'll bring you, if we have, by the time
I
we
love
meet together next week, if I have a little left, I'll bring you a little. Let me tell you, I'm going to warn you right now, the Surgeon General has put a little label on there.
I like
this. This will take hair off your head, but you know.
So you're saying, well, so I want to ask you a question though.
Yes,
you
please.
just made a comment.
Yes.
You said it would just just wear you out. So I'll end up after eating this horseradish, I'll look like you, right? Is that what you're telling me? I will start.
It's not too far apart.
Is that what he's? I mean, that's what he said. He said
very
that.
possible.
You said the skin would just.
Let me tell you, my dad and my wife made it a week ago, like the Saturday before the Passover started, right? And my mom, may she rest in peace, used to throw my dad out in the backyard on the back patio to make it. That's how bad it was, how strong it is.
Oh my goodness.
So my wife and my dad, I should have sent pictures to John, maybe for next week's show. They gear up with the mask. They should gear up with the gas mask. But yeah, the crying, and they start grating it. They start grating it. And I'm trying to stay as far. I had to go into the kitchen for a bottle of water. I walked in like this. So I gave my wife a break. So after they were done and they were relaxing, I went and I cleaned all the dishes. Let me tell you, just from cleaning the dishes from all the horse, I was crying just cleaning up the dishes from the horseradish that they were making. That's how strong it is. My goodness.
Well, we kind of celebrated Cinco de Mayo on Easter. We ate tacos.
That's planning ahead.
Burritos. Yeah.
That's planning ahead.
But George, you're always different. You're really different. That's what everybody tells me about you on this station. They said George is different. I said, yes,
that's right. He's a different breed.
He's got a cracked in.
Anyway, listen, we appreciate you watching today. Of course, you're watching on our Facebook page. You're watching on the WWDB TV channel. You're watching on YouTube. Also, remember, if you miss everything or anything, go to the WWDBTV Roku channel and download the channel WWDBTV. And not only will you see the Roundtable and today's show or any past shows, but you'll also see the wide variety, the plethora, the plentiful, the many shows that WWDB has to offer. So check it out and share us with your friend. If you go to our Facebook page, hit the little button that says like so you stay involved with us. And also, if you are interested and want to become a sponsor on our show, we would love you very much. Sure. All you have to do is just email us. That's all you got to do. The Roundtable LV@gmail.com. That's it. The Roundtable LV@gmail.com.
You can watch us in the bathroom.
No doubt. Yeah, you can do it.
But that's okay. We can't watch back, so you're fine.
You don't have to read a magazine.
You don't have to read a magazine. If you want a good night's sleep, you can listen to us then too.
Right.
But also, guys, I had a great weekend because I had an opportunity to work with some of our young people here in Las Vegas. It was called the All-American Camp in that hotel. And James Salas, who coaches there at Meadows High School, had us at the Dollar Arena, Loan Center. And we had the opportunity to work with about 45 kids. And what we did is we put together all the information. They ran the 40, they did the shuttle, they did long jump, they did 40 times, they did weightlifting, all of those things we accumulated for these kids. So now as a freshman, you start showing them how they can improve, and you show over the years when they become a senior how they've improved, and then you find out at what level of college that they can possibly play sports, whether it's NAIA, whether it's Division II, whether it's Division III, whether it's Division I. And now these kids get a great opportunity to sit in front of the coaches at that level to find out where they can possibly go and they can fit in. So and I think that is great.
What are the 40 times for high school kids like you?
Some of those kids, man, were running 4.6. They were running 4.7. Some of the bigger kids, they were running 4.8, 4.9.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, these kids, man, are athletic. Yeah. Well, they're a different breed today.
I was going to say they're making them bigger, faster, stronger.
They are. Absolutely. One kid, man, was standing over me, man. He blotted out the doggone sun. I was like, gee, I said, how old are you? I'm a freshman. I said, oh my gosh. So yeah, so this is what we're doing now in putting together this combines and that for these kids at an early age. So now they find out where they can fit in as far as the college.
When I played ball in high school, they timed my 40. They first took out a sundial. I don't know what I was supposed to know about that. But then I showed them all. I actually ran the 40 and 4.4.
Wow.
Damn.
That's stepping big down.
In high school?
That is getting down the road.
Now, if I were to run it today, it would be 4.4 days, not
but
seconds.
Still, 4.4 in high school is, I mean, that's NFL shit.
Because I was on the defensive line, but I wanted to take a shot at tight end.
Yeah.
That's what
so they ran the 40 on me. I never made it as tight end. I stayed on the D line and long snapper. But yeah, I timed it 4-4.
And not only that, there's a way to run it. See, a lot of folks don't even understand how to run the 40 and how to set themselves up in that area, and they don't practice for it.
No, they don't.
No, they don't practice. You got to understand within the first 20 yards of that 40, you got to cover that first 20 yards.
Right.
And then you open it up in that whole deal.
Right.
But a lot of folks, what they think is that at the end is where you're going to get the time. No, it's the start.
Right.
Yeah, you got to break
get
out
that
of the
quick
blocks
start.
quick.
You know how
like
I ran
track
it?
stars. You got to break out right away.
I ran it pretending my mother was chasing me with a wooden spoon. I just want to get the hell out of the way. That's how I ran. That's why I ran so fast.
So that's incentive. That's for sure.
For sure. All right, we got a grab bag of topics today. Coming out of the holidays.
Is that what they call it, a grab?
Well, I could call it a mystery show.
Yeah,
So we've got some stuff. First of all, early this week we're gonna touch on it. Of course, was the mass shooting in Louisville. We'll talk about that
again,
and then I have some statistics about the number of shootings and where they have taken place thus far. And then, but I want to stay with the sports stuff for a moment. A couple of weeks ago, I've been doing jokes lately. I didn't bring any with me this week, though. Thanks. That's why John was like, thank you. But I did a joke on one of those shows. What is a cucumber's favorite sport?
I don't know. I like cucumbers, but what is it?
What is their favorite
kind of
sport?
sport?
Oh my goodness.
Pickleball.
Pickleball. And so today we're going to spend some time talking about the craze of pickleball. Of course, we're going to have America Speaks coming up towards the end of the show, as always, which is a fun topic because this way we get to comment on your comments without you commenting on our comments, and no comments allowed. And we got whatever other stuff that kind of hits us as we go throughout the day. A lot's been going on this week. Middle of April, tax season. Everybody get their taxes filed on time.
I had
should be ready on Monday, right?
Mine were back
because
by
with
February.
the 15th on a weekend, tax filing day gets extended to Monday, the 17th.
Right.
However, somebody told me earlier this week when I was doing the Debt Lifeline, California's deadline, just for California, because of all the flooding and everything they have, their actually tax filing date's been pushed to October, which I did not know.
Wow.
States had that ability to move that.
That's a long time.
So I think I'm going to quickly move. I'm going to quickly move talk to California. Get that extended tax line.
Oh, I thought that I got something back. I was shocked when I always walk into the office with my stuff. I'm here. Here's my stuff. I just walk out. Oh my God, how much am I going to owe?
Right. If I break even
around, I got lucky.
Yeah, you know the thing about it when we were sitting down and looking at this, how it's changed. Now you have to file digital assets.
Yeah.
Really? Why are they doing that? Because we're getting ready to go digital on everything that we have now. Our banking system, how we sign up for anything, all of that, guys. And so, man, now you have to have understanding what digital assets really are. Mm-hmm. And you have to file them. And a lot of folks, you know what a lot of folks are saying? I'm not telling you anything about my digital assets.
The IRS, they want your crypto now.
That's right. That's right. Anything that shows income. It's funny to talk about the digital society. My wife and I last weekend we were out and about, and we stopped for a place up in North Las Vegas just for a little bite to eat. And there's a sign right there on the door. Only method of payment that they will accept is credit card or debit card. No cash.
Yes.
No cash.
So cash is not king anymore.
It's barely a queen. There's a court jester at this point, right?
Yeah, he's
what we shared on last week's show.
It could be a queen.
That's right.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, that's true too.
It might be a joker.
That's right. It's really a wild card right now. That's for darn sure. All right, so I want to get into pickleball because there's so many different ways that we can talk about pickleball. I got to be honest with you. I had never heard the term until we were in the lockdown, and our very own Governor Gwynn, when he was talking about places opening back up, you can do outdoor pickleball courts. I never heard it until he used that word, and I consider myself somewhat knowledgeable in some sports.
Oh, pickleball itself, the term.
I
knew what the ball and hitting it on the wall back and forth. But
I didn't never even now. That was paddleball growing up, where you would go to a wall of a building, you just play a racquetball kind of thing. I'd never heard of pickleball until Governor Gwynn used it in a sentence. And I'm like, what the heck?
So what's the difference?
So the difference between what?
Between banging a ball up against a wall, with a paddle, like
that was called in my day. That was called paddleball.
Yeah, we did that.
Okay, and then racquetball when it was inside.
When it was inside,
right? Mm-hmm. So pickleball, if I'm not mistaken, the first time I heard it, it's a mini tennis court or a big ping pong table.
That's right.
Okay,
that
I know.
No, you play it, right?
I do.
So why don't you talk about it and tell everybody first? I'm sure there's probably less people out there who don't know what pickleball is than the plethora of people that probably know what pickleball is.
Well, the thing about pickleball was developed for basically the older society.
Okay.
It's just like with golf. You know, it takes so long for people who aren't good at golf to get around a golf course,
Amen.
right? It takes them maybe about 5 hours when
If
it
you're
really
lucky.
should take, about 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, maybe getting around a golf course. So now what they've done is they modified the holes. They made the holes bigger, right? So now in the putting aspect of it, people can putt and they can move on, right? And so for pickleball, for people who start to age and it was older and they couldn't move around on a bigger court, they said, let's shrink the court and let's make it, like ping pong. And now everybody can play this at every age level. And then they said, let's make it like what wiffle ball. Let's get the wiffle ball, and the ball can, you can hit it in that old deal and make the paddles just like with ping pong. And so they came up with pickleball so that people of older ages could get out and get that good exercise as well.
So how big's the paddle?
The paddles, it's
like it's smaller than a tennis racket, but bigger than a ping pong.
Right. It
looks like it would be about the same size as a paddle ball when you used to play paddle ball against the wall, right?
Right. It's not a big. It might be the size,
but it's a hard surface.
Yes,
isn't it?
it's like the size of this paper right here.
Okay.
It's about the size, and then it has a handle on there.
Mhm.
Okay.
And now you don't miss the ball as much, right?
Mhm.
If you had just
In theory,
in theory, yeah.
Right.
In theory, take your glasses,
Right,
exactly. And that whole deal. And so now with the handle in that whole deal, you have a larger surface that you can get the paddle on the ball.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
So there are, before we get into the sport itself, there are five rules of pickleball, apparently, right?
Right.
So number one, and this one, you're going to have to try to visually explain this to me. Number one, no volleying in the kitchen area. So when I read this, I'm thinking, well, who'll be playing this in the house? That's what I'm thinking.
Right. That's what I'm.
So the non-volley zone, also known as the kitchen, is the line box located 7 feet off the net on both sides of the court.
Right.
The kitchen boundary includes its line. So if you're standing on the line, you're standing in the kitchen.
Okay.
You can't touch the kitchen in any way before, during, or after a volley. For everything you need to know about the kitchen, blah, 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 blah. So as I'm understanding it in tennis, it's that front zone.
Right.
So that used to be called the no man's zone. That's the kitchen in pickleball.
In pickleball, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Same
Same
change
thing.
the name.
Okay. Why did they come up with kitchen for that?
Yeah.
Get
out of the kitchen.
Remember, it's just different terminology,
Right.
getting you away from tennis.
Yeah, sure.
And all of those other sports that resemble it.
Sure.
And so they get their own terminology.
Well, kitchen is an interesting term to be using for that.
Well,
I mean, I kind of like it. I mean, it's
I
different.
was always
for
told
sure.
to get out of the
Right.
kitchen. So maybe you don't. Yeah.
You don't want to get in it.
Right.
Well, being in the kitchen is a place where I love to be, man. I love cooking and I love eating. So and so you have to be within that line. And the thing about it, the ball can bounce one time, just like in tennis.
Okay.
One time, and you can hit it, or you can volley with inside that kitchen line as well. So when they hit it and it comes at you, you can hit it right back to them.
So
it's
it doesn't
called
have
reaction.
So it doesn't have to bounce.
It
Right.
doesn't have to bounce.
Okay.
Just like
So,
tennis.
but it just says get out of the kitchen. But you just said you can volley while you're in the kitchen.
You can volley while you're in the kitchen.
So when do you have to get out of the kitchen? When there's no more food? What? I don't know.
No, when the ball goes outside the lines, you go outside of the kitchen.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Right.
Okay. So you just mentioned.
Let's say it hits
inside, you can
inside.
still hit it.
It hits inside, but then it goes outside the line. You can still hit it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Rule 2, which you just talked about, there must be one bounce per side. One of the pickleball's unique rules is the 2 bounce rule. The ball must bounce at least once on each side of the court for every rally, for both the serve and the return of the service. Once this has happened, either side can play the ball in the air or let it bounce.
Oh, just on the initial serve.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Number 3, you must serve at the baseline, which is just like tennis.
Okay. Same.
Now, is it an overhand serve or is it an underhand
It
serve?
can be underhand. It can be
Either
overhand.
way.
However you want to do
Okay.
it. Yep.
Number 4,
Just like in volleyball.
Gotcha. Number 4, serves cannot land in the non-volley zone. So unlike tennis, where you have to get it in that front zone,
Right.
the serve in pickleball must be outside that zone,
Absolutely.
between that end line and the baseline.
Right.
Now, is the ball
And you gotta-
heavier than a tennis ball?
No, it's lighter than a tennis ball because it has holes in it, just like a wiffle ball.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And rule number 5, the game ends at 11, 15, or 21. A traditional pickleball game ends with those numbers. However, the winner has to win by at least 2 points, which is like ping pong, right? You have to win by 2.
Yeah,
That's right.
So that we don't need to finish reading that. So you have 11, 15, or 21, win by 2. Here's a picture, which George, I'll show you. There's a picture of the paddle ball racket.
Oh man.
And so you can just look this up online, which is all that I did. You can see an
I'm
example
gonna
of
get
a
a
paddle
Raiders
ball.
one.
And that way you get away from a lot of mishits, because you have a lot of surface where the ball can come off of it.
So is the ball literally a wiffle ball? Or
Yes.
is it a little harder
It's
than
a
a
little
wiffle?
harder than a wiffle
With
ball.
holes in it, though.
Because
Okay.
yes, and that's why when you hear the noise when it comes off the paddle, you can hear that click sound
Okay.
coming off the pad on the ball.
So apparently there's prescription pickleball sunglasses.
What?
Yeah. Oh,
What?
guys.
Because many courts are outside, I presume.
Yeah, guys, understand what has happened as far as all the memorabilia, the T-shirts, the paddles, the hats, the visors, the shoes. This is a new industry, man, here in America right now. And they're just going nuts buying this stuff, guys. It's huge. And I tell anybody, if you're going to do any investing, invest into any of those products that has to do
So
with
now-
what? With pickleball.
Do pickleballs now have they gone professional yet? Or
Yes, they have.
Okay.
Rick Barry, as a matter of fact, you know who Rick Barry is. He's one of the all-time greats for the
Yeah,
Golden State
yeah.
Warriors. I met him a couple of years ago at the golf tournament.
Oh, I remember that.
yeah.
I was there. I met him too. Yes.
And sat down with him, and he says, "Man, Rick, for us old guys, there's a new game out there." And I said, "What is that?" He said, "It's pickleball." I said, "What the heck is pickleball?" He says, "Hey, man, it's a paddle. It's almost like tennis and table tennis and ping pong and tennis at the same time, but it's for us older people and that whole deal so that we can get out and get some exercise." I said, "Oh, really?" Now, understand, after that time of talking with him, he's become a national champion. He plays in all kinds of tournaments around the United States of America. The other night, we just had John McEnroe and a few other tennis guys that played a series against each other in that whole deal.
Oh, wow.
So now the tennis guys are getting into it as well.
Sure.
So this thing is growing, guys,
Wow.
by leaps and bounds around, not only just here in America, but around the world. And here in Vegas, man, they just, over where we live, where you live, big guy, they're getting ready, they just approved, $12 million? $12 million.
Well, the Durango YMCA already has a couple of pickleball courts, but I know their area is going to be expanding too.
Absolutely. And, these folks, man, they started a group, and now the group has grown all the way to 360 people.
Yeah.
And so now they have their own little club called the Neon Picklers. So it's a good thing. I think it's fun. It's a fun thing for everybody, and everybody can do it. And I believe everybody should get involved because we sit around too much. And if you look at the weight problem we have here in America, a lot of people need to get off the couch, man.
So I'm going to leave it right there for a moment with a question, and we'll answer the question when we come back. I'm going to ask George the following question. Why is it called pickleball? Think of an answer without looking it up. You're watching The Roundtable. We'll be right back.
Boy, it's
Hey, everybody. I am Aaron Phillips. You are.
I'm Governor Val Brown Klingelhofer.
And we host what kind of show?
We host the most fabulous show on this network you've ever seen. It's all about Kiwanis and what's going on in our different cities.
And Kiwanis Connects is the title, and you can watch us every Friday morning, 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific time, right on Facebook or WWDBTV. Say goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Aloha.
This is the story of one man's incredible journey from 350 to 200-pound weight loss and his mission to help and inspire others. Aaron Phillips. People are praising Aaron's new book with 5-star reviews. Aaron's various humorous and wildly entertaining stories portray his rise as a sports announcer, his encounters with exotic and irregular entertainers on the Las Vegas Strip through his long-running Vegas Unwrapped radio show, and his contagious and positive style of pursuing success. Call now or visit our website or Amazon now to get your copy of Let My Voice Speak to You, stories from a Hall of Fame radio personality. Order now.
Hey, welcome back to the Roundtable. We invite you to the show where we are all pickled around the table. That's for sure. We are that just kind of thing around here. All right. So I started that last commercial break by asking George, how did pickleball get its name? How do you think?
Then Rick just threw chicken in there. So now I'm thinking chicken and waffles, chicken and pickle.
Why is everything with food?
I'm trying to think, is the ball look like a pickle? I'm trying to think paddle, pickle, the ball, pickle, shoes, my pickle's in its pants. I'm trying to think. Pickle.
Giblets, aren't they?
Yeah, probably because I'm
Or tenderloin. Or
right.
whatever, yeah.
Little niblets.
Yes. No, I have to
How about
admit
this?
that I don't know.
All right, so let me ask you another. When do you think pickleball started? When was it founded?
I'm going to just throw it out there.
27.
Close.
Yeah, right. I would say sport 10, 15 years old. I'm just guessing.
Pickleball got its name in the summer of 1965.
Jesus.
Pickleball was founded by Joel Pritchard, Bill Bell, and Barney McCallum on Bainbridge Island, Washington.
Really?
Within days, Joan Pritchard had come up with the name pickleball, a reference to the thrown together leftover non-starters in the pickle boat of crew races.
What?
You lost me.
Man,
at
yeah,
pickle.
you really lost
know what
me.
crew
Yeah,
is, right?
yeah,
That's
right.
okay, well, apparently the crew, those that are not picked to actually be in the boat for
Right.
a race
Right.
are called pickle boat. They are pickle boat members because they're not in the boat, but they're left off to the side.
So
They're
the
left
pickle
over.
is the name of the boat. The shape of the boat could be.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, that's what it
Yes.
says. That's what it says. That's what it says right there. Threat from pickle boat of crew non-starters.
I got it.
All right, I can't make that stuff
I
up.
still don't know.
But anyway, so it was founded in '65, which means the
Which
game
is
is
shocking.
57 years old.
Right.
Founded in Washington State of all places, around the crew game of the boats and the leftover rowers, whatever they
Unbelievable.
freaking
You could have
call.
offered me $1 million. I would never.
I would have never, man, at all. I just thought it was something that just derived off of table tennis and tennis.
You would think that's the
Yeah.
logic. There you go, being logical again.
My bad.
Rick,
My
come
bad.
on, this
You
is
know,
our
eating a
society.
burger and they
Rick,
dropped the
quit
pickle
being
while they were
logical.
rowing.
Jeez.
Pickleball just was off the burger. Now, there's some etiquette and safety rules, right?
Sure, there's etiquette.
What do you know? I mean, I've got some of them, but what are some etiquette rules in pickleball? Do you know?
Some of them are not spiking,
Okay.
not throwing your paddle.
Okay.
You
Don't
can't
don't
yeah,
let John
and-
McEnroe.
Right.
and-
Don't
well-
throw John McEnroe.
Well, he did it the other night, and that would, and
Well,
they
I think he-
penalized him, and he threw his paddle, and he got
I think
mad.
he
at
did
him.
it part of just to be because
Well,
that's
yeah,
what
big
he
John
used to do.
McEnroe.
Yeah, you can't throw your paddle.
Okay.
You know, you have to have ethics. And that,
Okay.
why did John even get
Ethics
in on
in
that? I have
sports.
no
What the
idea.
hell?
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And that's the one rule. That's the two rules that I really know. You can't be spiking it at people, and what you can't do, man, is throw your paddle. And,
Okay.
and those are the ethics that I know.
All right. So according to this website, there's obviously quite a few. I'll say there's 17 listed
Jeez.
on the WoodbridgePickleballClub.org site. So I'll just hit on a couple of them.
Woodbridge, is that some fancy Connecticut?
No.
Country club?
There's a city in New Jersey called Woodbridge. There's a city in
In
New Jersey.
Jersey?
Yeah,
Okay.
my wife lived in a little piece of Woodbridge called Island.
So okay.
Okay.
All right. So maybe, well, then again, she was well, never mind.
Okay.
Remember, rule number 1, pickleball is only a game. That's what it says right there. Number 2, begin each game by acknowledging the other players and introducing yourself if you don't know them.
Right.
If the ball is out and it's on your side, call it out.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Oh, they don't have a guy sitting in the chair going, "Hey!"
If it's close, though, give the benefit to your opponent.
Yeah.
This is hard to do when the game is close, but do it anyway.
Yeah.
If your opponent does not do it,
I'll
you
just
do the
give
right
them the
thing
point.
anyway when it's your turn. Never make calls for your opponent's side on their side of the court. Never ask for nor accept line calls from spectators. That's very important.
Well,
All skill levels. If you want a stronger, more competitive game, stack your paddles together as a group and wait your turn. What is that about?
I have no
What is
idea.
it?
All right.
I don't play by those rules. Believe me.
I want my paddle in my hand. When the players on the opposing team are unequal in skill, avoid always playing to the weaker player to score more points. Always play the stronger player
To
equally,
learn something.
or he or she may get bored. That makes sense.
Yeah.
If you are the strongest player of the 4, play the weakest players in a way they can handle and learn from you. Before the game starts, tell your partner if you're working on a particular skill in that game so they understand you may not necessarily put every shot away. Avoid person's physical limitations. At the end of each game, meet at the net, click paddles, and say, good game. Never leave a game without acknowledging the. It's like going to bed without saying, I'm sorry. Never criticize opponents nor your partner's play. Abusive language is not allowed.
That's right.
Verbal comments of any detrimental nature during a game is unacceptable.
Yep.
Do not discuss politics, is
Yep.
what it says right
Yep.
there.
Yep.
Compliment
problem.
That's compliment people on outstanding shots. At the end of the game, if you believe another player would benefit from an observation about their play, don't offer it. Most people don't want critiques about their play. If they want your advice, they will ask. That's interesting.
Sounds like everybody gets a trophy participation. Yes.
Well, it does. Doesn't that sound
Stop.
like?
It
Wait a
does.
minute.
Oh,
Hey,
my
man.
goodness.
I don't
That's what
play
it-
by any those rules right there.
That part,
Honestly and
no.
truthfully, you certainly you want
Sure,
sportsmanship.
of course.
That's for sure.
But
Anything
be
that we do.
competitive. It's okay
But
to
yeah, be competitive in that whole deal. And that's why I didn't understand spiking the ball at people in that whole deal. They're like, man, don't be spiking at my head.
Right.
Because once again, it could hit me and hurt me in that whole deal. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm like,
It's like
I'm in the
sports.
win.
Oh my God.
what do you do to
I
win?
wouldn't
Oh my
last.
goodness, man.
So it says real quickly, it says here, 5 things you cannot do in pickleball.
I thought you just named 17.
No, that was etiquette.
Oh,
That's
Well,
Here's a
the-
couple. Scooting up after the serve. The most common mistake seen is that after serving, they scoot up a bit. Why would you, after you serve, are you talking about the server?
I would
yeah,
say you want
the
to
server.
you want to
yes.
be back mainly because you want to be able to.
So you
catch
play
them.
like doubles then, one up,
Yeah,
front, one back?
run back. Yes.
Okay, that
Oh,
makes
so
sense.
it's doubles.
But you can
Yes.
never, but you,
Yeah, it's doubles. You have two on the court.
Oh,
but you,
okay.
so both players cannot be together up at the net at the same time?
No, they cannot.
Okay.
Oh, that's,
One
okay.
has
That's
to be back,
fair enough.
Okay.
And one has to be up.
Tennis does the same thing.
Do not
Double.
do too fancy of a spin.
That's
What,
what
the
I'm
ball or as in
No, not dancing.
because a lot of folks, man, aren't talented. They can't understand and they feel like, how do I play this game and have fun? See,
Sure.
this game is all about fun
Sure.
and everybody
It
being
is,
able
but it's okay to be competitive and get
to compete. And I think in the championship leagues, like with Rick Barry's in and that whole deal, they do it. But I think for just the common
Sure.
person that's out
Yeah,
there,
sure.
they want to have fun and enjoy themselves and get some exercise.
So leagues like where you play, do they have teams and leagues or however you guys play it based on skill level?
yes, on skill level.
Okay.
If once again, like I said with Rick Barry and that
Right.
whole deal, I wouldn't be at his level.
Okay.
So I wouldn't play in that
with his
group,
guys.
in
Gotcha.
that whole deal.
Okay.
I would probably be in B.
Okay.
The
B level.
Yeah, the
okay?
B level.
So
he
it's
would be in the
A,
A,
B,
B,
C.
C.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that whole deal.
How do you determine what your skill level is to be on the right team?
By your scoring, by your scores and
Okay.
what you've done.
So first time,
Previous.
so if George or I walk into play,
Mhm.
never played the game before.
Yeah.
How are we matched to go on a court with people of our same level?
What we would do was ask you, how often do you play?
All right, zero.
Zero.
Never played.
You've
First
never
time.
played before? Well, what we need for you to do is sit down over there. That's where the starters are, because what we don't want to do is discourage you from
Right.
playing this game and that whole deal. Because you want to win sometime, right?
Sure.
Because if you win every time,
Right.
it's not competitive, not
Right.
fun.
Right.
So let's get you down to where you can be competitive, and then you can do the process
Gotcha.
aspect of it
Okay.
and get better at it.
Smashing balls too early, which would be a spike basically.
Right.
Kitchen faults, poor serve techniques, not taking center line shots as the forehand player. So if you're at the center line there, you can't use your forehand plane up there?
Nope, you got to underhand.
Oh, so if a ball's coming to my forehand side,
Yeah.
I have to return
Yeah.
it this way.
Yes.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Well, a lot of these, I'll tell you what,
Yeah,
a lot of
that's-
these, man, it takes skill just to retrain your brain to do it.
Absolutely.
right.
Eye-hand
Wow.
coordination. Yeah.
Not letting shots go out, not getting to the kitchen, or just some of the things that they've talked about here.
Right.
Some of the things. Wow, it's just ping pong. They don't have that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's
it's
all
crazy.
it is.
Oh my goodness
It's
gracious!
ping
All
pong.
If I
right,
do a great shot, I am going to spin and go.
that's right.
Spin.
Gonna celebrate my shot.
Yeah.
Well, they want you to be ethical,
No, of
man. They don't
course.
want
You
you
can't.
showing out
Yeah.
and that whole deal.
But do you know what the thing is? A lot of those things should be.
Can't be
Normal
Dion
anyway.
on a pickleball court.
Well, no, of course. But a lot of these things should be common sense anyway.
Absolutely. But how many people have
I
common
know.
sense?
I
Not
know.
very many.
I know. You're going right down the road
Sense
there.
is not very common.
No, absolutely not. Okay. Anything else on pickleball? I mean, first of all, how can somebody get started? Where do they go? Do they call a website? Do they call somebody they know to get started?
I
What's
would
the
I
best
would
way?
call your recreation center,
Okay.
and then you have folks, man, who have put together groups
Okay.
who are running it in that whole deal. And what you do is you call there. Let's say the Durango YMCA.
Mhm.
You call there. You say who's got the pickleball, courts, or who's running the organization, and then you get a hold of those folks and get involved.
Gotcha.
Do you go out and buy the best paddle you can get when you first start, or you just buy
No.
a lower priced one?
It depends. It depends on the individual.
Right.
If you want to go out and
Get
get
the best
professional, type of equipment, then you do it. That's almost like golf. If I go out, man, and get me a nice Titleist golf club, and I can't play a lick, what in the world am I
Right.
doing? Going out and getting,
Absolutely.
a $600, $700 club.
Right.
When I get good, then I go out and I start, getting those type of.
I'll get those clubs when I stop shooting for the clown's mouth. When I'm past that, then I know I
Right.
get better clubs. That's the way I look at it. All right.
So that means you were at putt-putt?
All
Is
the
that what it is?
time, baby.
I've done that
I'm the
a couple
gold
times.
champion
You
of
were-
putt-putt.
Yeah, are you
I
really?
died when Scandia closed down over there in 15 back there by the Palace Station.
Right.
Closed
Oh, yeah,
down.
yeah.
So,
my
fellas,
God.
when are we gonna get together and go play some putt-putt, man?
Whenever you want to, let's
I'm
go.
looking
Let's go
forward
to
to
Kisses. Let's go to Kisses indoor putt-putt thing.
I'm looking
Do they
forward
still
to it.
have that?
Yeah, they moved it out of the Rio. I forgot where they're relocated to, but they still do.
They
Or-
did, because I know it used to be across from the Hard Rock, now
Right.
Virgin Hotel. Then
Right.
they moved
We're
to
used
the
to the
Rio.
Rio, but now there is also one up by over on Lake Mead near the 95. There's a king, they call it King Putt.
Mhm.
There's that place right in there too. And so it's relatively close. We have to go. Yeah, let's do it, man.
It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Won't hurt yourself.
No, well, I can't guarantee that. You still have to bend over and pick up the ball for crying
I
out
can
loud.
still throw
So-
the club once. in a
That's
while.
right, that's right.
Yeah, I'm sure, George. You
That's
would
right.
go to the club. You're that type of guy. No?
Oh
I'm
my
like Adam
goodness.
Sandler against Bob Barker in what was the golf movie
Oh yeah,
where when the
Happy Gilmore.
Yes, I
Happy
would
Gilmore.
be like that.
Yes. My goodness gracious, that's crazy. All
Or
right,
Tin Cup.
let's. Oh,
Yeah.
no, that was a good movie.
That was.
That really
Wasn't there-
was.
Wasn't there another cat? Well, that's the
Oh,
classic
Caddyshack, yeah.
Caddyshack.
Isn't that something?
Bagger Vance. Am I saying that right? Was another movie.
Yeah,
it
Ryan,
was,
right? Bagger Vance.
Yeah,
Was that Ryan Reynolds in that one? No, it wasn't Ryan Reynolds.
wasn't that Will Smith
Smith.
played? Yeah, Will Smith,
Will Smith.
and Matt Damon, or was that another one?
I don't
Ralph
remember.
Nader.
Ralph. Ralph Nader.
okay. I didn't know he played golf.
All right, let's change gears a little bit. Not that I really want to go this way, but big news this past week in the country was the incident down in Louisville, which, by the way, want to send our thoughts and prayers and condolences to the family members affected by that incident down there. We have you all in our thoughts and prayers. But this is the 15th mass shooting this year alone.
Something you just said.
Yes.
And I hear lately, yeah, we always say our thoughts and prayers to the victims and family, but now you're starting to hear people forget the thoughts and prayers. We need to do something,
Well, of course.
and so again, if we're going to go there, God gave us free will of choice. Humans, we have the ability to make our own decisions on certain things. And when people say, well, why would God let that happen? He gave us the ability to think and do the things that we want to do. And if that's what doing some of the bad stuff along the way, that's the choice that person made. So it can't always be, well, why would God? I'm sick of the thoughts and prayers. You hear it all the time, especially in the last couple of years with all these shootings.
Well,
So-
I think for us, for what we do, what we can offer is that
That's
we're
it.
not in a position other than
To offer
controlling our own household, our own decisions for that is really what we can do. We can, if you want to get out there and talk one way or another, that's an individual choice. But the people who can really do something different and make a change one way or the other, those are the folks in Washington. So that's not us. I mean, that's a handful of 200 plus people that have that control.
And we do say that a lot about the Washington, but I think it also, again, we've talked about this before, it starts at home with the parents.
Right.
You start young with these children and, try to teach them right from wrong if you're in a position to do that. Some today's parents, people that I see kids today that are having kids, they don't know. They're in their early 20s. They have tattoos and earrings and nose pierced. And again, you don't judge a book by its cover, but I just don't see young children growing up the way I know I did in our generation, totally different. If my parents were alive today and saw the parents of today, they would freak out.
I want to correct something. The article that I referenced that listed this as the 15th mass shooting. That's the one,
15th school.
school shooting.
Right.
So
over 129.
Well, actually, this was in a bank.
Right. That was today. The one in Louisville was in a bank.
Yeah,
But
a few days
the
ago.
article and the website that I just pulled up, it shows 173 U.S. mass shootings this year alone.
Already.
However, across the globe, 5,308 mass shootings around the globe in just the first quarter.
And where are they coming from? Because Rick and I just discussed that it seems to be that America leads the world in mass shootings, and that's not a statistic to be proud of. But it seems to be less in Japan and in Australia, where they have they don't have them as much as
Well,
we might hear one or two here
sure.
and there every 10 years.
Well, the ones that the site I'm on is just talking about the 173 here just in the
It's
U.S.
crazy.
Well,
So I can go through and just give you some city names, but I will say this, and I'll let you
yes,
go
sir.
from there. So it's 173 shootings. The 173 total shootings. Shootings per day thus far, 1.73 shootings per day. Killed 263, wounded 629. So there's almost 2 shootings per day that has happened on average since the beginning of the year in the first quarter. Go ahead.
Just for me, I think that people, when you look at the Constitution, and when you talk about, bear arms and those things and that whole deal, I honestly believe people take it to another level. Back in the day with Davy Crockett and those guys, you had muskets.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had a gun and you went off into a school or off into a business, you would shoot one time.
Take you 5
You'd have to
minutes
take it and reload it in that
Right.
whole deal, right? Today, we have all these automatic weapons, man, where you can, within seconds,
Yeah.
Mhm.
kill
300,
thousands
yeah.
and thousands of people. Look, once again, I want everybody to have their guns. I want them to have their guns. But to have these military-style guns
Mm-hmm.
and not have a red flag background check, man, whether you've been abusive, whether you've been domestic violence,
Mm-hmm.
if you were a thief or robber, and those type of things, and you get a gun, and folks are allowing you to get a gun without sitting you down and really looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the issues here in America. I think we take the freedoms of guns too lightly.
Right. Take it for granted.
We take it for
I
granted.
agree.
And now the guns get into folks' hands that really don't need them. And folks are saying, well, my bottom dollar is what makes the difference for me and my family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about money. Man, I sold, how many guns did you sell? Man, I sold about 16 million of those bad boys, and I made a lot of money. But then you put some guns in that whole deal, or whether it's drugs or guns or whatever, in folks' hands that don't really need them. And I think that's the problem. And around the world, they have strict gun laws. Look, everybody talks about New York and their strict gun laws and that whole deal. But remember, folks are bringing the guns over state lines and selling the guns in New York from other states. So we have to get a grip on that, guys. That's just me, because we never ever know if it's going to be our grandson or granddaughter or our child, or even ourselves, man, where we're just sitting, let's say in a Waffle House, and somebody comes in and just shoots you.
And you talk about the strict gun laws. We found that that's not really working because the law-abiding citizens aren't going to do that kind of stuff. Again, I think the punishment should be. And again, you hear people go, "You're radical." No, I think if you what's the saying? Die by the sword, live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah.
If you're going to go out there and start shooting everybody else, boom, and you don't kill yourself, then the law enforcement should take them out the back behind the jail. Okay,
But
this
if
is
they're
your punishment.
But if they
Boom.
have mental
It would
illness,
stop.
George, in that whole deal, man, and they get the gun, and you know that they're mentally ill, man, and you have to make sure that he's not capable of getting those guns. Because if you look at it, most of these folks are schizophrenic. They're schizophrenic, man, in that whole deal, and you can't really understand what they're going through and the thoughts and the things that are going through their head until they actually act on it.
So how do you stop that part then if you don't know? If people could say, oh, well, he was always showed up for work every day. He was a good employee. He was real quiet, though. And then the next day he goes out and kills everybody. I mean, how do you start? How do you diagnose that?
Well, I think, John, you want to say something?
Part of the problem is, and you're seeing it happen, is now there are some states, a few of them, that aren't even requiring a permit to get a gun.
Right.
You can open carry, you can conceal carry with no permit.
Absolutely.
That's the old West.
That's the
It
old
is.
West. That's what we're living in, guys. And the thing about it, the gun lobbyists, they go up there on Capitol Hill, they put their money in there,
You bet.
they elect these people, man, and put them back in the office who are okay with it.
Well, those guys are funded by the gun makers. The
Absolutely,
lobbyists. So
absolutely.
they have their, but you were talking about charges and who? The young boy who was 6 years old shot his teacher a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
didn't you? Well, the mother's facing charges. This just came down about an hour ago. She is facing charges. Grand jury returned 2 indictments charging the mother, and I won't give her name, with felony child neglect and misdemeanor recklessly leaving a loaded firearm as to endanger a child.
Wait, misdemeanor?
Mhm.
Misdemeanor.
Well, he's
Letting a kid have a gun is a fucking misdemeanor.
Recklessly, no. Recklessly leaving a loaded firearm around
So the
kid
as to
could pick it
endanger
up.
a child.
Right. It's a misdemeanor.
well, you know, the teacher's suing the district for $40 million.
I did not hear that.
Yeah, yeah. And also,
Yeah, right.
I look at what happened down in Florida. You have a 12-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 17-year-old, I believe. And what they do is they go robbing and stealing and that old deal, and then they end up killing the person, the young lady who was driving them around. And then the girls that were in there, they buried them in different places. Guys, we have a mental health issue here in America, and we have to. I think we really, really have to put more money and emphasis on making sure that we take a fine-tooth comb and go through that hair and we pick those people out so that then they can at least go through a series or a battery of things to find out if they can have a gun or if they're capable enough of following the rules with a gun, guys. That's just me.
Why is today as bad as it wasn't as 50 years ago when we were kids, 10, 12, 13 years old? We never
Well,
had any of that.
my grandfather and grandmother would beat the crap out of me if I took put my hands
if I did
on my
something
gun.
stupid, I did.
There's no consequences anymore today.
So that's
Now-
that's it.
There's no
Well, I
consequences.
don't think that's it, but I think that's a majority of the
Yeah.
reason because accountability should always start at home.
When you
Back
have,
then,
when you have
didn't
12,
have more guns than people.
that's true.
That's right.
Availability.
Today, you got more
But it was
guns
also-
in the country than you do people.
But it was also our parents raised us. It was never. I never had the feeling, well, I'm going to go kill this guy or go and
Wait,
find a gun
I
and
have
shoot
a
him.
good friend that owns a gun, and just he's a very peace-loving, very stable individual, and had a kind of a situation with another individual. And he said to me he had thought about taking his gun and going over there and confronting this individual.
And-
So there's no mental illness there.
No.
That's just
Right.
anger.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, you
you're
have to know
saying that.
where to
anger
cross
that
the
you-
line.
That you just, and thank God he was smart enough to know, hey, I better not.
Yeah, really.
Right.
It's not in my good best interest.
Right.
And a lot of other folks feel like, hey, if I walk around with a gun, I'm intimidating.
Right.
People won't mess with me.
And where do they get that stuff though? They get that from movies.
Out of
They get,
fear.
they-
Everybody who carries a gun is afraid.
but they get
They're
that,
pussies.
but they get that feeling of intimidation from video games,
Right.
from
Which
certain
we didn't
genre of music, certain
Right.
genres of movies, where they see the bad guy always carrying a gun, walking around town. All they have to do is open up their coat jacket to show the butt.
That's right.
And I think that's kind of where that mentality
That
comes
comes
from.
from, yes.
So I agree with that. It's all those things wrapped into one. Then there are people who rightfully own weapons simply for protection,
Right?
because of all that's gone on, in town with,
Sure.
during the
COVID.
couple of years ago with COVID
Yeah. Mhm.
and everything. So to me, there's a lot of different reasons how you circumvent to know the difference between whether someone should have a gun, if it's mental, if it's not, whatever.
We had the movies, the violent movies as kids, and maybe not as bad as they were today, but still pull out a gun in a movie, I'm going to get you.
But I don't think they
Yeah, but it was
resonate.
never-
But if you think of one movie back in our day of growing up, was there really ever a movie for 120 minutes that was based around guns and total violence? They're violent movies, yes.
Westerns,
Well,
maybe, if
Yeah,
you
but
saw.
that was part of a genre, though.
Right.
When I watched, let's say, The Lone Ranger,
Yeah.
and when he shot someone, there was not gore. There was
Right.
not a bunch of blood.
You're
There
right.
was
The
not a
sound of
bunch
the
of
gun
stuff.
is what.
And that was
Right.
it. But the
Right.
key thing is, to me, I think people get normalized. If I go out and shoot a gun for the first time, what am I going to do?
Right.
I'm going to jump and I'm going to be
Right.
like, man, I'm going to be scared.
Right.
But the more I shoot it,
Right.
the more it normalizes.
Right.
The more I shoot animals, the more I shoot this, that, or the
Right.
other, and I see gore, that means I get normalized to it. It's like, oh, that's not that bad.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happening with our kids at a young age.
And that becomes accessibility. But then the kids at the young age, let's add in their racism in their household. If you don't like a certain sect of people,
Right.
parents or whatever, those they're going to show, well, here's a gun, son. If you see this happening, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And so there are a lot. But again, I think the root of it all is home.
Of course it is.
And
Absolutely.
so that's where it all starts. But you have accessibility. Social media is a word that we haven't brought up yet as to why
Right.
we have these issues. Social media now, back in the day, 50 years ago, you had 1 or 2 or 3 outlets of news in your town.
That's right.
You didn't have social media. They could only report so much.
That's right. That's right.
But now with everybody having one of these are all news cameras.
That's right.
Right. So that has aided in people wanting to be the focus of attention.
Mhm.
And by doing so, if you're not right in the head, well, these guys did it with guns over here.
Mhm.
I'm going to do the same thing. Like these challenges, these stupid things with
That's
You're right. The
Todd
water
Hyde.
challenge. And
Well, yeah, well, but there are good challenges out there, like the
Yeah.
Chug Challenge and the Alzheimer's, not Alzheimer's, the ALS
Right.
bucket challenge from years ago.
Yes.
But when you're having kids do Tide Pods and all
Yeah.
these, that's
Yeah.
stupid. That
Yes.
that goes beyond
And there's
reality.
people that do that.
I know that, but why are they doing it? Because it's social media.
Right.
And
Yeah.
somebody's challenging. Well, I can't back down.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Well,
So-
why did John Morant do what he did? You
Yeah,
know,
right.
he goes on and he
Right.
flashes his gun
Right.
and that will let everybody know I got the gun and that
Right.
whole deal. I'm a badass. I'm a bad guy. But if young men who watch him play basketball follow him
Oh,
and
he-
see him
right.
do it,
Right.
if he can do it, I can do
Right.
it.
Right.
Well, it's like your Giants, Plexico Burris.
Yeah.
When he shot himself. He was
Absolutely.
trying to hop shot. in the
Right.
nightclub.
Exactly. Totally.
Oh, you know,
Totally.
and blew his
Yeah.
foot, or his
Listen,
knee or whatever.
this is a topic that we're certainly not going to solve here
No.
in our show, but it's certainly a topic we should continue talking about, not necessarily around situations, but the one in Louisville this past week, 5 dead, 9 injured. Gunman was unidentified, reported to have been a previous or current employee at the
Yes.
bank, like you said,
Mhm.
killed by a gunshot, unclear if it was self-inflicted. 2 police officers were among the wounded. The gunman was armed with an AR-15.
There
Yeah,
you
you
go.
can
So you
get
can
those
go on to
anywhere.
massshootingstracker.site to get all the latest information of the 173
They even
shootings
have a
just here in the
website
US.
for
Yeah.
it.
So what is the answer? What is the answer that we here as Americans have to put forth so that we can get this thing under control? Because I don't want it to be your grandson or
Right.
your son. I don't want it to be your uncle or your
Mhm.
brother or anybody. Aaron,
Mhm.
this is ridiculous. Too much pain.
I think it's too
much
late.
hurt going on out here, and it's like folks they're okay with it.
I think it's too late. I don't know how you're going
Yeah.
to stop it unless you ban every stop, unless the gun manufacturers just stop making guns.
But I don't know if it
You
starts
have
with the
enough for
guns.
the-
I think it goes back to the
At
homes.
home, of course, but it also, again, I remember telling people the gun was invented, well, like Rick said earlier, the musket. You could only shoot one time. They had to take a few minutes as they're coming up on you. You got to hurry up like you're doing something else. And then they made it easy now. Now it's easy to kill someone. You can just go out there and spray a whole room. You don't even have to aim anymore.
That's right. Well, that's the gun makers. The gun makers. If you remember, honest, this is the thing that I do know, that when President Obama, when he was elected, I don't want politics. And I'm not going.
That's right.
But when he was elected, I think there was something like 600 million guns that were sold that year. It was crazy because of fear.
Right.
Because people thought there was a change coming. Somebody's coming after you.
To get you.
To come in to get you in that whole
Right.
deal. So I have to have protection.
Right.
Really.
Mhm.
Honestly and truthfully. And I think that's where we get a lot of the fear and the fear mongering and people wanting to have guns because they feel like, hey, I can protect my home.
And so who's putting that information out? The media.
The media.
Not
That's
us, but yeah.
So if the media could hold back, and so again, this is wishful thinking. It's never going to happen.
That's right.
Bad news sells.
That's right.
That's why the last 2 minutes of a newscast is always the fireman going to the tree to save a cat.
Yes.
Right.
That does not sell.
Right.
Good shit news does not sell. The bad news, the killings, the this, the guns, that's the stuff that unfortunately sells. And if the news organizations, whether it's local or whatever, were to stand up and say, you know what, we're going to cut back on this stuff because it's affecting our community,
See too much of it.
then that's where, so it's awareness almost in a way that
Yes.
they're making it too easy for people to hear this
They
stuff.
are, and it's too easy to kill somebody. Now, I remember when I was a kid, when you got into a fight in military school, the commandant or the TAC officer would take you guys outside.
Right.
They'd put the boxing, they would
Gear
put the,
on.
the
Sure.
gear on,
Right.
the mask, and you'd fight it out in the gym.
Sure.
Nowadays, I felt you're more of a tough guy, more of a man if you go out there and you take your licks. You know,
Bare-fisted.
it'd be easy.
Maybe in a
Now it's
dark
easy.
alley.
The guys with the guns are the pussies.
Right.
Sure, absolutely.
Right.
Well, the thing about it, because they're afraid of getting beat up. And remember, a lot of times when those things are going on, what are the people doing? Most of them are doing what? They're
Filming it.
recording.
Right,
It.
all of them. You see the whole.
They're
Now,
recording it.
now it's okay to have one or two because you would like to see what's happening, but everybody, nobody's trying to break it up.
Well, that's the thing
but
that
that's
bothers
scary
me.
too
Yes.
when there's a gun involved.
Well, yeah.
Who's going to break it up?
Right.
Because you take a chance of getting shot. If it's two guys fisticuffing, fighting, then I would jump
But,
in like
but
I
let's
do.
let's look at what happened
nightclubs.
to George Floyd. To go back to that, right?
Mhm.
3 police officers, however number of police officers
Yeah,
were
4 or
involved.
5, yeah.
No guns were drawn,
Mhm.
but not one standby. There were a couple of people yelling at the cops to get off him. He can't breathe.
Right.
But that's as far as they went. I would have risked getting arrested for
Pushing the cop off.
to no, maybe
Of
just
course.
not push him and say, look, he can't get in there.
Mhm.
And I would have rather have risked being arrested for getting involved than allowing that to pursue further. Now I say that now because it's after the
Right.
fact.
So
Sure.
one of the
I
guys,
got you.
one
But
of the
what I'm
cops
doing-
was a rookie,
Right.
and didn't do anything.
Right.
Sometimes I feel for the guy was a rookie. What are you supposed to do? The guy,
But he's an officer though,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and he's
it's-
probably following commands,
Yes.
but still.
I get
So
it.
that's the other thing is when these incidents go down, people don't step up. Now, last weekend was the Aloha Festival here at Craig Ranch Park.
Right. Mhm.
Well, my wife and I happened to have heard about it last week, and she
Shooting?
said to me it was a shooting in the festival in the park.
Really?
Not the case. The shooting and incident took place outside of the park, away from the actual festival. How was news reported? It was incorrectly reported that was at the festival. And reality is, it wasn't.
So
not.
not- and even those people that were involved were not part of
Correct.
It just happened to right
It
outside
just
the
happened to
block
have been
away.
whatever it was, and the
Right.
sound of the gunfire. People thought. So again, how was the news being reported to cause
That's
panic?
true.
Right.
That's true.
So again, it goes back to our awareness, social media, news outlets. Before we report stuff, there should be a 24-hour moratorium on reporting any news event
make
until
sure to
all the
find
facts
out
are correct.
Fact
Right.
check. Yes,
Correct.
absolutely.
Correct.
I
So-
agree with you.
So, again, we're not going to solve these problems per se, but they're interesting ideas which I would love to keep talking about and continue to get involvement from our audience. Listen, put your messages on our Facebook
Yes.
page. Give us your
Yes.
thoughts on any of this
Yes.
stuff. Send messages in. Email us direct if you want. TheRoundtableLV@gmail.com with
Yes.
your thoughts. We'll be happy to read them and share them. I'm looking at the clock. I think we're only down to a couple of minutes. Is that correct? 3 minutes. You got a quick topic for America
That was
Speaks?
quick.
Not that we haven't done America Speaks this entire last segment here.
We're pretty much.
But we have 2 minutes. Give us. America Speaks.
America Speaks, where you give us your opinions on any topics out there that flag your interest. Again, I pick stuff here. Some are basic fun stuff. Some are more serious. We read your comments, and then we comment on the comments.
That's right.
So America does get to speak because I am reading comments that you guys have sent in. This one specifically, again, we all know who Megan Rapinoe is.
Yes.
Yes.
Soccer player, female.
Yes.
Mhm.
Sue Bird. You know who Sue Bird
Yes.
is?
Yes.
They're two of them athletes who signed letter opposing Protection of Girls and Women in Sports Act. They are opposed to that because they think it's going to take away from their health insurance and other benefits that they get. First of all, I've never liked either one of them. But here's the conversation.
That was George's comment. by
Right,
the way,
that was
not-
my
not
comment.
America.
We've got tiers, but these people cannot speak for all women in sports, especially high school and college women's sports.
So give me that law again that they wanted to get away from.
Yeah, there's a law that's being passed, Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird, among
Right.
athletes who signed letter opposing the Protection of Girls Act and Women Act.
And what's the act? What does that mean? Protection, like safety? Equipment
Yeah, an
prote-
athlete group that supports LGBTQ plus initiatives sent the letter on Monday, according to Sports Illustrated. The athletes believe the bill wouldn't protect women in sports, but rather exclude women and girls from getting
Okay.
mental and physical benefits.
Okay.
Shut up. That has nothing to do with any of this. And that's why I can't stand her. Here's a guy. I'm Matthias. Sure, they didn't have to compete against mentally ill men. Okay, libs are idiots. It's truly time that we stop caring and let women fend for themselves since they're inviting this. I don't know what that means. Okay, how about this comment? Bitterroot Jim. For the record, she is not legendary to most normal humans. She certainly is notorious. They're talking about Megan Rapinoe, who's issue after issue. We're not getting paid as much as the men in soccer. Well, first of all, nobody watches your sport. I mean, like they do with male soccer. Same with the WNBA. Same thing.
Well, I have to just step in for a minute. I just saw some numbers from the women's college basketball game that was over the top. How many? I think it was more than the Super Bowl. More people watched
when
more
LSU
than,
won.
Yeah, LSU won.
But you also had the top stars of both teams going and at it as well.
Right.
They
So-
punch each other at the end, or one.
No.
No.
One kind of gave the ring.
The face.
She gave the gun, and then she pointed to her finger to the goal.
the ring in that
Then
hotel.
at the end when they were.
That was a whole different game.
But once again, that controversy, everybody's got to have some
Of
controversy
course.
in anything like that in that whole deal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, hey, man, the media, once again, like you said, they're the ones that start.
They
all
bring
of
the
the
gas.
stupid
They
stuff.
bring the gasoline to the bonfire. Unfortunately, we are out of time. We cannot continue with more than that. Our time is out.
That's messed up.
I know. What can I tell you? But the quarter.
Yeah, put something in the comments.
The quarter.
We
We'll
want to
read
hear
them next
from you,
week.
America. We
We'll read
want to
them.
hear from you.
Absolutely,
no doubt.
for sure. Good stuff today. We really ran the gamut. We went from the fun of pickleball to the serious nature of what we're talking about gun violence and what's
Yes.
been going on in
Yes.
the world. And
Yes.
we're going to get to more America Speaks next time. But our time is up for this week, which means you have no choice but to join us next week to hear what else we have to say and talk about. But seriously, go to our Facebook page, The Roundtable Show. Check it out. Put your comments in there. We'd love to know what you'd like us to talk about. Or if you have a comment on anything we've talked about today or any previous show, we'd love to share it. George, final thoughts so we can say goodbye, sir.
As I always say, keep your head above water. It's okay. I know we got bills and life to deal with. Just stay positive, and just keep moving. That's it.
Right on. Rick.
Things are getting ready to heat up. Make sure you put your sunscreen on.
Absolutely. I, for one, am thankful that no more matzah after tonight for another year. Anyway, with that,
Chinese food now.
Chinese food, that does clean the senses. Be kind, everybody. Wise out. We are all we have. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time right here with my buds, The Roundtable Show. We'll be back next time.